The world above is connected by invisible signals, but the reality of 2026 is anchored to the ocean floor. Thousands of miles of fiber-optic cables, no thicker than a garden hose, carry 99% of all global data. They are the arteries of modern civilization, pulsing with trillions of dollars in financial transactions, military commands, and the very fabric of the internet. But in the spring of 2026, a shadow has fallen over these subsea lifelines. In the crushing pressure of the midnight zone, an invisible enemy is moving. This is the silent void, the most critical and least understood front line of the new Cold War. The first signs of the disruption were subtle. A millisecond of latency in the high-frequency trading floors of London and New York. To the public, it looked like a minor glitch. But to the analysts at Navy Moments, it was the opening move of a global strategic strangulation. In the deep Atlantic, the arteries of the West are being mapped by ghost vessels. These are not standard warships. They are specialized motherships, capable of deploying autonomous underwater vehicles that operate in total silence, far below the reach of conventional sonar. The strategic importance of these cables is absolute. If 5 key junctions in the North Atlantic were severed today, April 11th, 2026, the global economy would cease to function within minutes. Banking systems would freeze, logistics chains would collapse, and military communications would be forced onto vulnerable satellite links. This is the ultimate kill switch for Western society. The abyss is no longer just a geographical feature. It is a tactical choke point where a single mechanical arm can do more damage than a nuclear strike. Deep-sea sabotage has evolved into a precision art. Adversaries now use ultra-quiet unmanned underwater vehicles, or UUVs, that can loiter on the seabed for months. These sleepers are designed to blend in with the background noise of the ocean, mimicking the acoustic signatures of whales or seismic activity. They don't just cut cables, they tap into them, attempting to bleed data or inject a malicious code into the global network. It is a war of whispers, fought in a world of absolute darkness. The response to this threat is led by a new class of multi-role ocean surveillance ships. The RFA Proteus, the jewel of the British Royal Navy, is the first of its kind. A commercial hull converted into a high-tech fortress for the deep. It operates as a mobile command hub, deploying a fleet of remotely operated vehicles that act as the eyes and ears of the fleet in the abyss. These vessels are the first line of defense in a territory that was once considered unreachable. Joining the effort is the USS Jimmy Carter, the most secretive submarine in the United States Navy. Specially modified for seabed warfare, it is the only vessel capable of deploying divers and robotic systems at extreme depths. The mission is simple: find the intruders before they find the cables. The Jimmy Carter operates in a world where GPS doesn't exist. Navigating by inertial guidance and high-resolution bathymetric maps, it hunts for the metallic glint of a saboteur's hull in the silt of the ocean floor. Underwater surveillance in 2026 relies on the Subsea steel net. This is a vast array of acoustic sensors and fiber-optic hydrophones permanently installed near critical cable junctions. These sensors form a digital perimeter, detecting the faint electromagnetic hum of a passing UUV. When a breach is detected, the information is relayed instantly via acoustic modems to surface ships, creating a real-time tactical picture of a world that is otherwise hidden from view. The abyss aesthetic of the modern combat center is dominated by electric emerald HUDs. These green light displays are optimized for low-light environments, allowing operators to see the faint outlines of the ocean floor. Here, The deep-sea kill chain is managed. Algorithms analyze acoustic returns, filtering out the sound of the currents to identify the specific mechanical whine of a propulsion system. It is a high-stakes game of hide-and-seek, where the loser never sees the strike coming. Autonomous hunter-killer drones are the latest addition to the underwater arsenal. These sleek, torpedo-shaped robots are programmed to patrol the cable corridors independently. Using AI-driven sonar, they can identify and neutralize enemy UUVs without human intervention. They are the shepherds of the deep, providing a constant automated presence in the most remote parts of the planet. Their endurance is measured in weeks, allowing them to cover thousands of miles of seabed on a single charge. But the enemy is equally sophisticated. Adversaries have begun using magnetic mimicry to hide their drones near the cables themselves. By attaching themselves to the cable's armor, these drones become nearly impossible to detect with standard magnetic sensors. They wait for the signal to strike, a dormant threat that can be activated in a second. This parasitic warfare represents the next leap in subsea sabotage, requiring even more sensitive detection technologies to overcome. The impact of a subsea cable crisis is felt instantly in the global markets. As reports of cable anomalies reach the surface, shipping insurance rates for the Atlantic corridor triple in a single afternoon. Financial analysts warn of a digital dark age if the disruptions continue. In the 2026 economy, data is more valuable than oil. The security of the cables is now tied directly to the stability of the dollar and the pound, making subsea protection a top national priority. Communication in the abyss is a major technical hurdle. Radio waves cannot penetrate the density of the ocean, forcing the Navy to rely on acoustic modems and blue-green lasers for data transfer. These underwater lasers can transmit high-bandwidth data over several miles, creating a secret optical network between submarines and seabed sensors. This allows for a level of coordination that was previously impossible, turning the silent void into a connected tactical environment. One of the most dangerous missions is cable recovery. When a link is severed, specialized repair ships must move in under heavy escort. These vessels are highly vulnerable, sitting stationary for days while they grapple for the broken ends of the cable miles below. In 2026, these repair zones are protected by surface-to-deep kill zones, where destroyers use depth-charge-capable missiles and advanced sonar to keep the saboteurs at bay while the link is restored. The Midnight Zone is home to more than just cables. It is a landscape of mountains, canyons, and hydrothermal vents. Subsea warfare takes advantage of this terrain. Submarines hide in deep trenches to avoid detection, using the natural acoustics of the ocean to mask their presence. This topographic stealth makes the deep Atlantic a nightmare for even the most advanced sonar systems, requiring a level of navigational skill that only the elite of the silent service possess. While the world watches the surface, the invisible blockade is already in effect. By disrupting just a handful of regional cables, an adversary can isolate an entire island nation from the global internet. We saw this in the early days of the 2026 crisis, where localized outages were used to create panic and social unrest. It is a form of hybrid warfare that attacks the psychology of a nation by cutting its connection to the outside world. The role of the private sector in subsea security has become vital. Companies like Google, Meta, and Microsoft, who own many of these cables, are now working directly with the U.S. and Royal Navies. They provide the cable health data that serves as the early warning system for the fleet. This public-private partnership is the foundation of the 2026 maritime strategy, blending commercial infrastructure with military-grade protection in a race against the clock. Deep sea, listen-only stations have been deployed across the mid-Atlantic ridge. These are passive sensor pods that record every sound for years, uploading their data to passing submarines. By analyzing these recordings over time, AI can identify patterns in enemy movements that are invisible to real-time monitors. This is acoustic intelligence, a massive data mining operation that maps the secret traffic of the abyss and identifies the signatures of the newest stealth UUVs. The threat of cable spiking is the latest nightmare for network engineers. Instead of cutting the cable, an enemy drone injects a high-voltage surge that fries the sensitive repeaters every 50 miles. This causes a cascading failure that can permanently damage thousands of miles of infrastructure. It is a scorched earth tactic for the digital age, designed to ensure that if the adversary cannot control the data, no one can. In the 2026 silent void, the first move is everything. Detecting a saboteur before they reach the target is the only way to prevent disaster. This requires a forward defense posture, where UUVs are intercepted hundreds of miles away from the critical infrastructure. The Navy's new doctrine emphasizes proactive neutralization, finding the motherships in the shipping lanes before they ever deploy their deadly cargo into the deep. The environmental impact of deep-sea warfare is a growing concern. Underwater explosions and the deployment of thousands of sensor pods are disturbing the fragile ecosystems of the ocean floor. Navy Moments reflects on the tragic irony of 2026. To protect the digital environment of the surface, we are risking the natural environment of the abyss. The debris of the cable wars is joining the shipwrecks of history on the dark plains of the Atlantic. The abyss aesthetic HUDs are now showing a new phenomenon, bioluminescent tracking. Some advanced sensors can detect the movement of large objects by the light produced by disturbed plankton. This natural radar is being used to track silent UUVs that are otherwise invisible to sonar. In the silent void, even the light of the deep can be turned into a weapon of detection, leaving the intruders with nowhere to hide. Special forces are also evolving for the abyss. Navy SEALs and SBS operators now train with deep-sea exoskeletons that allow them to operate at depths that were once the exclusive domain of robots. These iron divers can perform precision repairs or neutralize parasitic drones by hand. This human element remains the final, most flexible line of defense in a war that is becoming increasingly dominated by cold, calculating machines. The 2026 crisis has proven that the global village is only as strong as its cables. The reliance on subsea infrastructure is our greatest strength and our greatest vulnerability. As we move further into the decade, the Navy's budget is shifting from massive aircraft carriers to these invisible sentinels. The silent void has become the primary theater for national security, where the victory is measured not in territory, but in the continued flow of ones and zeros. The Deep Shield is a coalition effort. The UK, France, Norway, and the United States have signed the Atlantic Cable Accord, a treaty that mandates the shared protection of all subsea assets. This unified front makes it clear to any adversary that an attack on one cable is an attack on the entire alliance. The 2026 Accord has turned the North Atlantic into a fortress, where every mile of cable is watched by 1,000 electronic eyes. As we look deeper into the silent void, we see the rise of self-healing cables. These experimental 2026 designs can automatically reroute data if a section is damaged, or even release a chemical sealant to protect the fiber optics from seawater. While still in their infancy, These technologies represent the ultimate defense against sabotage, a network that is as resilient as the ocean itself. The goal is a world where the kill switch no longer works. The psychological weight of the silent void is immense for the crews involved. Living for months in a pressurized hull, miles below the sunlight, takes a toll that surface sailors could never understand. These are the aeronauts of the abyss, fighting a war in a place where a single hull breach means instant death. Their courage is the silent backbone of our digital lives, ensuring that the world stays connected while they remain in total isolation. Every cable has a story, and in 2026, those stories are written in the language of defense. From the transatlantic one to the Pacific Bridge, every line is a testament to human ingenuity and the constant threat of its destruction. Navy Moments honors the men and women who stand watch over these lines, the guardians of the silent void, who ensure that the light of information never goes out, even in the darkest corners of the earth. The electric emerald glow of the command centers is the light of the future. It is the color of a navy that has adapted to the most challenging environment on the planet. As we conclude this episode, the silent void remains a place of mystery and danger. But it is also a place of triumph, where the steel net has successfully held the line against those who would plunge the world into a digital dark age. The lessons of the 2026 cable war are clear. In the age of the internet, the ocean floor is the high ground. We have shown you the invisible battle that keeps your world moving. Stay with us at Navy Moments as we continue to track the innovations that protect our global arteries. The void may be silent, but our resolve is louder than ever. Information is the lifeblood of freedom, and we are its ultimate protectors. This is Navy Moments, and the battle for the deep has only just begun. Data is our compass, and the abyss is our shield. As the flags of the coalition remain anchored to the seafloor, the message to the world is simple. The cables will hold, the connection will remain, and the light of the modern world will never be extinguished by the darkness of the deep. Subscribe for more, because in the silent void, what you don't see is what matters most.